Um, so the title of this is Live, Study, Play, Community in the Work of Eero Saarinen. Mid-century dormitories are reflective of rapid growth and cultural change. The admission of women, lifestyle changes, post-World War II increases in student population, and the increased needs for on-campus housing. Many of these buildings have begun to reach a critical point in their lifespan. And preserving, renovating, and adapting them to new needs is important for their survival. This session will discuss our renovations at the University of Pennsylvania's Hill College House, designed by Eero Saarinen in 1960. It was named for Robert C. Hill, who was an 1889 graduate who made the bequest to purchase the land on which the building sits. Hill College ranks among the finest works of mid-century modern architecture in Philadelphia, along with Richard's Labs by Louis Kahn, also on the Penn campus. Hill College was constructed for freshman women, and its iconography of an Italian palazzo created the image of a protective environment. Its interior, by contrast, is bright and light-filled through the use of skylights and organized around an open atrium with overlooking balconies having operable shutters. The interior was designed with ample spaces for living, study, and play, and one of the goals of this project was to enhance those facilities in the context of a larger rehabilitation. This was the first comprehensive renovation of the building since its construction. While its sleeping rooms were small, Hill was designed with the largest amount of communal space for study and play of any of the freshman dorms at the university. Unfortunately, the building had become shabby, which you can see a little bit of here, and unpopular after 55 years of heavy use. And also many of the Saarinen designed furniture and finishes were lost or compromised. For example, you see here most of the wooden shutters in the atrium had been heavily damaged. Our goals for the project are listed here. I will not read them, but will summarize by saying that we mainly sought to improve the student living experience while bringing back the luster of the original Saarinen design and then enhancing it. Hill College was built on what was then the eastern edge of campus, slightly set back from the street and surrounded by a high iron fence, a moat, and a landscape by Dan Kiley. It was conceived as one of two buildings on the site, as shown by this model, but the second building on 33rd Street was never built. It is in some ways a modest building for Saarinen, built of cast-in-place concrete and sheathed in a beautiful handmade brick from New Hampshire called Eno brick, which fits quite well in its urban context. While it has many egress doors, it only has one major point of access to protect the inhabitants, which is a bridge over the moat at the second floor level, you see here. The building is 5 stories in height, 200,000 square feet in floor area, and it contained over 500 beds. The next images were taken soon after Hill College opened. The first view is across the opening at the second floor down to the dining level, and it shows the curtain wall and the outdoor terraces beyond at the 4th and 5th floors. The next shows the dining level and the marble fountain down below in the center of the dining room. The center of the room, which was, the marble fountain is in the center of the room and was no longer operational and was being used as a planter. The building included ample lounges of all sizes located throughout the building. The sleeping rooms were quite small, typically double rooms of only 180 square feet, with just enough room for beds, desks, and bureaus for 2. But the storage closets provided for each student at the room entries were quite large. At the beginning of the design, we visited the archives at Cranbrook, where Saarinen and his father taught, at Yale, where much of the office's archive is housed, and the archives of the University of Pennsylvania, which had a set of original drawings. In addition to accumulating information on the building, we researched the original colors and assembled a palette of appropriate colors. In reviewing Saarinen's drawings, we understood that his design intent was to decorate the walls of the lounges with brightly colored stripes. These colors were not evident, and so we retained a conservator to determine if this treatment was in fact done in the building. And after doing paint analysis, he did confirm the original existence of the so-called racing stripes that were unique to each lounge. In similar fashion, Saarinen designed patterns of floor tile in an incredible array to inject playful color into each lounge. Many of the floors still existed, either completely or partially, but they were in poor condition. It was impractical to restore them all, but we adopted several patterns which became the signature designs for each house within the dormitory. This was the existing plan at the second floor level of the entry bridge. Note the outer perimeter of sleeping rooms, the long double-loaded corridors without windows, and the inner ring of common rooms, bathrooms, and lounges. The centralized plan is ringed by 4 villas, each of which was designated as a residential house. And I've outlined one of them here in red in the northeast quadrant. And each of these houses has both an atrium lounge overlooking the atrium in the center and a hallway lounge, which is off the corridor, in this case on the east and west. The plan of the lower level shows the dining room with its fountain, the large kitchen, and its service facilities at the eastern end, and there again, dorm rooms around the perimeter of the building. The third floor contains the largest social and play spaces, which can be broken down by house or used for functions for the entire dormitory. The third floor is typical of the upper floors with a complete ring of sleeping rooms around the perimeter. The plan looks simple, but the building is not. Sections cut through the building show how complicated the layout is because the dormitory rooms are a half level above or below the large lounges. This presented us with significant challenges in providing accessibility to all areas of the building. In this graphic, the red lines show the location of parallel cast-in-place concrete walls. This structure, along with the concrete floor slabs, presented significant challenges to running new services like heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, electrical systems, and fire protection systems. So this is a quote from Saarinen. "I have come to the conviction that once one embarks on a concept for a building, this concept has to be exaggerated and overstated and repeated in every part of its interior. So wherever you are, inside or outside, the building sings with the same message." So one can see this pretty clearly by comparing his plan for the dining room table layout to the exterior fenestration. I'll do that again. The renovations to the exterior and the building's infrastructure were extensive, as you see here. And they were designed to make the building more sustainable. While we initially designed for LEED Silver, the building ultimately achieved a LEED Gold rating. With respect to landscape, we maintained and preserved the Kiley designed moat with its ground cover. The brick and iron perimeter fence was repaired and repointed, and we replaced all of the honey locust trees, which were in poor condition and at the end of their lifespan. We utilized Kentucky coffee trees, which are similar in shape and leaf to the original, but They're more resistant to urban conditions. We were excited to rebuild the brick flared corners at the base of the building. This was a Saarinen feature that had been neglected and lost over time. And they connect the perimeter wall to the perimeter wall of the main building. Our work on the exterior envelope of the building was to make it more energy efficient and included new roof and wall insulation. We used very thin wall insulation, but highly efficient to save space in the individual rooms. This is a detail that shows how we did that. The entry bridge was in poor condition and needed to be reconstructed with proper flashing details to make it a more inviting way into the building. We also enhanced the bridge and the entry with new hidden lighting. I'll go back on that. We restored the beautiful brickwork as needed with the correct mortar and reversed inappropriate repairs of the past. We also repaired and restored the metalwork of the eyebrow cornice at the top of the building. The existing steel windows were restored rather than replaced to keep the existing sight lines, rather than every other option would have had much heavier sight lines, and which was unacceptable to us and to Penn. So the windows were all removed, straightened, repaired in a shop, double glazed, repainted, weather stripped for energy efficiency, reinstalled, and tested to make sure that they did what they were supposed to do. There's the exterior brick, brick facade that was also repointed. Replacement curtain walls in the atrium were also double glazed with laminated glass, and the sight lines were kept narrow by using a similar zipper mullion system to the one designed originally by Saarinen. We added much equipment to the roof, such as a smoke evacuation system for the atrium, additional exhaust fans for the kitchen, air handlers for new air conditioning, and energy recovery systems for conservation and sustainability. And they were carefully located to minimize visibility from the interior atrium and the city streets around. Saarinen had actually provided a screen wall on the roof, which you can see here, for shielding further mechanical equipment, future mechanical equipment, rather, from the atrium views. We were fortunate to have a large basement and sub-basement, which was a former bomb shelter, in which to locate new mechanical equipment. One of the larger pieces was a new emergency generator, which required a large new opening and permanent areaway in the north foundation wall. You can see them forming it up here and making the opening. And there's some of the heavy equipment that's now in the basement. Running new piping and utilities through concrete floors in some areas required structural reinforcements made with embedded carbon fiber, which was quite a process to design. And Keaston Hood was our structural engineer. It was a very careful process of preparing the concrete and adding the carbon fiber, allowing sufficient cure time for the concrete to bond the materials, and then testing it to make sure that it worked. The interior work was comprehensive and transformational and can be grouped in categories. First category would be program. On floor one, we reinvigorated the building by developing new student facilities in underutilized spaces. On the first floor, rooms were taken out of service in the southeast corner and we lowered the floor to create a larger kitchen and an added dining area at the dining floor level. Saarinen's significant features, the central fountain and the seating arrangement, were retained. The dining experience itself was modernized with bold new colors, fabrics, and furnishings inspired by Saarinen, as well as the addition of multiple stations or mini kitchens. Food is more visible with a wider diversity of options. We also developed new food prep in the basement, which serves not just this building, but the entire campus. A new terracotta tile floor was installed according to the new configuration to match the original tile of the second floor of the atrium. Our rendering shows these proposed changes. The second category of improvements is code compliance and safety. At floor 2, this is floor 2, we made major safety improvements in terms of wayfinding, fire alarm, and sprinkler modernizations. Also lighting improvements. We took small single rooms out of service on all floors, and unfortunately I can't point to where that is. It's right in the center of the building on the north and the south. Those little indented areas were single rooms. We took them out of service and made them essentially chases to run vertically through the building. At the main entry level at the second floor, we made use of underutilized lounges at the corners to provide new work and play spaces, namely a suite of music practice rooms, a makerspace for student projects, and a restored conference room with Saarinen furniture. Fire stairs were upgraded with new code-compliant guardrails and the addition of graphics to assist in wayfinding and safety. Accessibility was another major improvement. We added another elevator that connects all levels and a wheelchair lift that gave barrier-free access to the third floor lounges for the first time. At third floor west, we developed a study center with an open common area having comfortable knoll furniture, as well as private rooms, which you see at the back there, for collaborative study. The university calls these their Wharton rooms. We redesigned the main lounge at the east end for relaxed living with a new kitchen, TV areas, and comfortable furniture. We brought up ping pong and pool tables from the basement for better access, and we also completely redesigned the restroom facilities on all floors to be gender neutral and barrier free. The color schemes in the restrooms denote the different houses, so you can always find your way in each quadrant of the building. One of the most significant improvements in terms of was comfort, which was to add air conditioning to the entire building, including the atrium, dining hall, and dormitory floors. At the fourth floor, we took student rooms out of service to create better access to Saarinen's outdoor terraces. That's the area in purple on this drawing. This in turn freed up space for new small kitchen and dining area for private parties, a multi-purpose room with mirrors for yoga and dance, a fitness room, and a TV screening room. We were able to install alternate furniture mock-ups during the design phase, and the students utilized the furniture for an entire semester prior to closing the building for renovations. This was helpful to the students and the university in selecting the most appropriate and comfortable system. In terms of aesthetics, we introduced the palette of colors that Saarinen had used with our interior colors, textures, and fabrics in the atrium and hall lounges. This has made a much livelier and less drab interior. We also opened up the corridor sides of the atrium lounges with the addition of new glass walls. This was the before, by the way. The former long, dark corridors are now relieved by areas of natural light borrowed from the atrium, which is more transparent and welcoming. Another major improvement was the new LED architectural lighting, which utilizes circular fixtures compatible with the Saarinen design, but differentiated from it. This rendering of the atrium shows the design intentions, the restoration of the atrium wood shutters, with metal ones that exactly match the original profiles, but will make them more maintainable. The fountain was reactivated, which restored the sound of flowing water to the space, and appropriate plantings were added to the atrium, balconies, and terraces. Atrium lighting was replaced with more efficient theatrical lighting on a truss system that can be lowered for easy maintenance. The post-construction photographs show the array of living, study, and play spaces that were enhanced or newly developed by the project. This is the atrium looking west, much like our rendering. The study center on the west. The large lounge on the east end with billiard and ping pong tables and all the new lighting and finishes. Fitness areas on the fourth floor. Atrium lounges. These are the ones that overlook the atrium on the long sides of the building. And again, color coded for each house. And these are the hallway lounges with the new racing stripes and color scheme. There's another atrium lounge. Another. And dormitory rooms with the new furniture. And here's the dining area with the restored fountain. The mural painting in the back is sort of out of context, but the title of it is The Apotheosis of Benjamin Franklin, and it's by N.C. Wyeth. It's a work of art that's has some repute. It was done for a bank in the Franklin Bank in New York City, and when that building was torn down, a group of alumni rescued the painting and found a big white wall in Saarinen's building and managed to convince the trustees that that's where it should be. And it's there, and we protected it during construction, did a little touch up and repair, but it's pretty much in its original condition. So as we've seen, Saarinen provided ample community space for living, study, and play within his design for Hill College House. And he provided opportunities for enhancements, which we utilized to create a 21st century dormitory. It was an honor to work on the upgrade of Hill College with an enlightened client and a great design team. And it was especially fulfilling to work as if in collaboration with an esteemed predecessor and a modern master, Eero Saarinen. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm going to ask that everyone who has a question to please type in your question in the chat screen. That's the little bubble at the upper right-hand side, and I will facilitate. We do have a question that is ready to come in, Michael. Alina would like to know if you can describe a little bit about the project schedule, and was it the typical phases, schematic design, design development, construction documents, etc.?
How long it took?
Yes.
Is that what she's asking? Oh boy, I should have been better prepared for that. Well, first we did a feasibility study and cost estimates, which was a report, and that had to wend its way through through the administration, and that took a little time. But then when they decided that it was decided to go, it went very fast. I believe the design phases were collapsed into a little more than a year, and the construction was a year and 3 months. And I'm thinking that it was finished in 2018, but I could be wrong. Might have been a little earlier than that, but I don't think so. I think it started in 2015 and finished in 18.
Hey, Michael, I'm not writing it in, is Ed Roth.
Hi, Ed.
Great job, great job. In today's world where people tear down things and build them new, what was the cost to do this facility? And how can you compare that to, because there are so many amenities in this that may not be in a new building, but
Yeah,
how would it compare to the cost of building a brand new dormitory building of this size and scope?
that's a good question. You know, I've often thought, I don't know how you could build a building like this today with that atrium. I mean, how could you justify that to a university that's you know, a good efficient use of space and so forth? But I'll tell you, it really makes the building and makes the building unique, and people want to live there. And even when it was deteriorated, the people that were assigned to Hill College instead of to the main quad where everybody wanted to live, there was a great sense of community developed over time, and people are very loyal to the building and the college. But getting back to your question, you know, it was a $60 million construction project, and it was more than that as a project cost. So, you know, it took a considerable investment to bring this building back. But I think what the university got out of it is, you know, is very valuable and valued. And it also, well, it also had to be phased with the development of another dormitory next door. That had to be built first and occupied before Hill College could be emptied and then Hill College renovated. But yeah, I think it would be hard to justify the square footage cost today, but we were fortunate that this was built when it was built.
Thank you, Ed, for that question. Another question came in from Erin. Can you talk about the moat some more? And if you can go back to that image.
Well, yeah. Well, you can see the moat here on this last image. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I'm just going to zoom in.
Okay. Well, you know, this, I guess, had a little bit to do with the building's position on the very edge of campus in a semi-industrial area at the time, and the decision to co-educate, and all the women were. This building was built as a women's dormitory, and so there was this attitude, both by the university and by Saarinen, of, you know, protecting the women, and you know, so there was only one entrance provided, which is this over this bridge, like a drawbridge, and you know, the building always had security and still has security at this point. There are, you know, many exits. It's a safe building, but only one major entrance to the building. And you know, and the iron fence is quite tall. There's you know, and there's the moat that kind of sets the building off from the street. The moat is right on the sidewalk on that'd be Chestnut Street, I guess. Yeah, Chestnut Street. And so you know, you do need a little bit of setback there. But this is a very urban building. It's really a strong building. It's funny. I walked by it for years and never really noticed it because it fits in so well. And then the minute that you start to look at it and walk around it, you start to appreciate it even more over time. And it's an interesting thing. Saarinen did the Yale dorms for men, basically, and Morrison Stiles College. And those had, rooms of every shape and size and entrances everywhere. And it was, as opposed to kind of Renaissance, it was sort of, shall we say, medieval. But each space was unique. And I don't know, there's this attitude about these cookie cutter rooms around the perimeter of the building that is, a little sexist in a way, but it had to do with the efficiency of the floor plan and the protection of the occupants. My opinion.
That's fascinating. There could be a whole dissertation just on that aspect right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
I
other
like it
thing
though.
about the
I lived
building-
in Philadelphia and I worked on Chestnut Street at the old Kling, and so I actually, I actually like it. Although there's a certain Rapunzel sort of that's completely loaded.
Yeah.
That slide right there and that conversation, but that's fascinating. Very.
Another question that has come through, this one from Lorianne, is how engaged was the university in the decisions? And were there decisions or ideas that your team, Michael, suggested that didn't make it in the final project for one reason or another?
Yeah, the university was involved every step of the way, and we had many design meetings. We had a meeting for a while every week, and as things were being developed. And some of the things that didn't make it into the final design was a small theater, a performance space, and that was slated to go in the lower level of the building, but with its own entrance and so forth. That was kind of a shame. The space is still there. It could happen in the future if they wanted it to, but it got cut out of the project fairly soon when the cost estimates started to come in.
And Alina has a question. How was the general contractor chosen for this type of project?
Mysterious process. We weren't involved in it. We knew this was going to go be a CM project, and the university has several that they work with. Well, they have a very long list that they work with, and they identified who they thought had the appropriate skills in team, and then gave them a chance to propose on the project. The CM was Intech. I didn't say who did what. If I started, I'd leave somebody out, and but everybody on the design team, we had our consultants, and they all were terrific, and the builder had great subs, and we got to work with some very skilled craftspeople.
That actually leads into the next question from Joseph. Do you remember who the mason was who did the restoration work?
Oh my gosh, yes, but I'm blanking. This is awful. This is really awful because we work with him all the time.
Oh my
dear.
God, I'd forget everything. Don't feel bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just blanked, and I wish I had a project sheet that gave all the lists of all the.
Was he local?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll bet
Joseph
somebody could guess it who it is, and I could confirm.
Yeah, Joseph was asking if it's Sabia or Lapore. Does any of those ring a bell?
No,
If I'm pronouncing it correctly? Okay.
Nope. No, sorry, it wasn't.
And then Alina has a question. The total cost was $80 million. What was the budget estimate and the bids?
The project cost was 80. The construction budget was 60, and it came in pretty much on budget. We were working with the CM prior to all the contracts being let to value engineered the building as we designed it. So we're really pleased with that. And I think the university felt they got a very good value for the project budget.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Whether they want to type it or turn themselves off mute? Any comments?
I do.
Yep.
Hello?
Yes.
Sorry, I was just typing in a question, but this is Richard Graham. Could you comment on the alignment of the rows of exterior dormitory rooms and how they align with the exterior windows?
They are, yeah. The interior windows are right on center in the rooms, in the sleeping rooms. And let's see, should I go back to a plan to show that?
Sure, sure.
Please. Yeah, I was just trying to get a visualization of how the windows were placed within the rooms.
I think you can see in this plan view that there's wall, then there's embrasures, there's slanted openings, and then the rooms are centered right on those openings, all the way around the building. The windows themselves were composed vertically differently. They're horizontal or they're vertical, and that's alternated by floor. And the windows are quite large.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt, but upon looking at the rows of rooms and then the windows, it appears there's far more rooms than there are windows. And so that was.
I see. We were looking at the gable, not the gable, the short end of the building. And so let's see if I have another shot of the long side. So you can compare the plan to.
I don't see any closets in the rooms either. I guess.
They're right next to the hallway.
Oh.
Can you see where I'm pointing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are the closets, and they come through the door, and there's a closet on the left and a closet on the right, and they are quite large, and the students really appreciate them. They really like them. Let me try to find an exterior view. Thought I had one at the end here.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the end of the building where the bridge enters at the second floor level. And
Can you click on that slide? Yes, if you can click on that. Thank you, Michael. There we go.
I guess I don't have the long view showing the long sides of the building on the north and the south. I just have the east and the west.
And while you're on this image, Daniel has a question about what the cornice material is.
The cornice up there,
Yes.
it's iron, and it's just an eyebrow kind of a lattice work of to give a little lid to the building.
Very nice.
That was original and restored, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
It's actually really lovely that it kind of softens the edge of that very square building.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very neighborly building. It's just, it fits in really well, and it's well scaled and beautifully constructed. And it's stood the test of time.
Any other comments or questions?
I'll give you one other comment. If you are interested in Saarinen, you might look at some of the other buildings that were being built in the same period, like the London Chancery. It's funny, it has a very similar plan to Hill College when you look at it. The offices are ringed around the perimeter of the building, and the major meeting spaces and so forth are in the center. And the same thing with John Deere, the John Deere Corporation headquarters. So, you know, you start to see parallels with his other work if you start to look at it.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Michael. That was a very informative presentation. Thank you for answering all of our questions.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all the good questions. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
And I do want to remind everyone that in order to obtain credit, you needed to provide your AAA number when you registered. This is Donna, I will send out an email to everyone who is on the go-to just to confirm that I do have your AIA number, and you should see it showing up on your transcript within the next week, week and a half. And if you don't, please reach out to me. Okay. Great.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Happy holidays, and we look forward to seeing you for another Central New Jersey presentation in 2022. And hopefully we can be in
Good.
person sooner
Good
rather
job,
than
Donna.
later.
Great curator.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night. Thank you again, Michael.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.